Hello and welcome to the King Heroes Journey podcast. My name is Beth Martins, and I have the immense pleasure of having Sara Tomato on. I'm getting used to saying Sara Tomato today, who had me on her channel recently. Got to know her. It's been a quick love affair. I became a subscriber on her YouTube debate channel. And so that's been really fun. This is thanks to Ben Balderson. I don't know if he's going to be around today. Hello to everyone who's coming in the chat. That's fantastic. Feel free to share this out. It is a pretty shadow banned channel. Darn it. Go figure. I don't think I'm that dangerous. But let's see. So if you're new to the King Heroes Journey, you feel like subbing, I am live on YouTube and Rumble and Fakebook and X and Vigilante TV. Let me see if I am actually live on Rumble. Let's see. Did it do it? Damn it. Okay, I'm going to have to upload to Rumble after. I've always got a little glitch. Beth called Sarah Beans. There you go. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sara. She is, I love this quote. She says, "There will be chaos." Let's get clear here. We can talk about that. There will be crazy. Buckle up. And so it's pretty wild. Sara, in the summer of 2024, hosted her first live debate video kind of by accident shortly after the Moderator Monday series kicked off with a full momentum, along with the Throwdown Thursday. Since then, the Raging Tomato became an official debate platform with the most contentious topics featuring 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 1 versus 8. Additionally, the after hours open panels on the Gauntlet continue to grow in popularity as several panelists wait their turn backstage to enter the battleground. And I was there for one of those debates. It was super fun. I had a huge smile on my face. So I'm going to bring Sara on now. Hello and welcome, Sara.
Hello. Thank you so much for hosting this. It's not often that I get to be the person in the hot seat.
Right. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Go ahead.
Can you hear my dogs barking? I hear them immensely.
I do not hear them. Can you hear my distiller running?
No.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. It's one of those things. I drink nothing but distilled water. So that thing runs like 3 times a day. And if I stop it, then I have to start it and I don't have water and stuff. So I would go.
That's fair. That's fair.
Thanks for bringing all your people. Welcome.
Yeah, I hope they're heading over there and sending you all the love as you deserve.
Yes. And I see we have some overlap between a few of our people.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. Well, I'm excited for this conversation. We're going to be talking about what it's like to be in the eye of the debate storm.
Yeah.
And I've been watching you. It's kind of crazy. Do you want to say anything more by way of introduction about yourself before we get started?
No, I mean, I think that that pretty much covered it. I'm Sara. I
Yeah.
host debates. It's crazy.
Yeah. So what was that turning point when you decided you were going to do that? When you weren't doing that, but you stepped into the arena, quite literally?
Well, it started with a random Monday night, and I thought to myself, man, nobody streams anything fun Monday nights. I was bored watching, scrolling through YouTube, and I thought it's so boring here. And so I said, maybe I'll just try something on Mondays and see if it floats and do like an open panel. They had already been calling me. They call me Moderator because I'm a mom and I moderate them like a mom should. But they kept saying that I moderate the open panels pretty well, right? Well enough. So I thought to myself, like, oh, I'll do a mod Monday, like Moderator Monday. Let's see if it takes off. And I remember doing my first Monday night, and I didn't have like a topic picked or anything. I was just completely blindly walking into it, like, let's just open up the gates and see what happens. And people came up. David Donnelly from the vinyl community was one of the few that first came up, and just to fill the space. And we just had a conversation. It was really mild. Like, nobody got mad, nobody got upset. Everybody was just having a nice, gentle conversation. And then that eventually evolved later to where I started planning my Moderator Mondays, where I said, like, it needs to be more formatted, more structured. So then I went with 4 people, a 2v2 and a hot seat. And the hot seat was like meant to be kind of like, because I didn't want to leave people out of the conversation. Like I always had everybody involved in the conversation. So I gave an opportunity for people to line up backstage and hop in the hot seat. And then that later evolved to what it is now, where it's 2v2. They have the full direct attention for the first 2 hours. And then after that, we go into open panel. And I mean, the rest is kind of history from there. It just kind of sailed. The first official 1v1 debate I hosted was Andrew Wilson and Based Oracle. That was requested by Andrew. And it just kind of took off. And now here we are. It's just pure crazy.
I love that. Yeah, so interesting. As you know from interviewing me and getting to know each other a little bit, that I'm always looking for, without even intending to, I just have a natural pattern hunting kind of side to myself. And I like to see archetypes, or I just inevitably see them, whether I like it or not. So it's interesting when you threw in that said you were bored and you're looking for a little excitement. So that, I know you did the quiz at my website, and I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about that as well. But when you talk about there being bored was a motivation, which is the best creator space to be from. When you let yourself be bored, it's so fruitful.
Yes.
It's stupid. It seems scary. Can you guess which archetype is scared of being bored?
Let's see. There's the rebel, the nurturer, the king, the alchemist. I would see the king as being like not wanting to be bored, but I would also pin it on the rebel too.
Yeah, you got it on the second one. Yeah, the king would be bored, but they don't have any time for that. Right?
I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Now I don't have any time. I wish I was bored.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's very interesting that you got, I mean, we've all got some, you notice I wore my black leather today. There's in your Raging Tomato brand, you could say there's a lot of rebel.
Yes.
And you're attracting a lot of rebels as well. The fighters, those who don't mind conflict. And that's kind of an unusual quality, because especially women will go out of their way to avoid the conflict, right?
It's funny you say that, because I hate conflict. I hate like being put in a stance of you're gonna have to duke this out with someone. I avoid it at all costs. Like I hate it, but I also openly welcome it too. It's kind of contradictory to that, the way you say that, especially the way I invite and welcome it, but I also try to avoid it at all cost.
There you go. There's Benjamin Balderson, who I never mind getting in a friendly conflict with. He's the one that brought me over. So thank you, Ben, for these introductions. Yeah. JJ Hempcrete is in the house. And Duxwise said, I'm a licensed CSM pimp. Is that good?
What is a CSM? I don't know.
I don't either.
Duck is odd. He says odd things. That's why we have an emoji in our chat of no duck. It's like got a like kind of like a do not enter sign over top of a duck. That's he earned that. The chat loves it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not good at all the acronyms and the 3-letter this and that. So I have to go look them up, and half the time you can't. So, and yep, Ben's my favorite alchemist too, Michelle. Thanks for being here. And you are Quietly Content Bear. Okay, you guys seem to come as a pair, interchangeable. That's great. I love to have some bears around. And how goes it? New to the channel, welcome. You want to drop a like, please do. That's awesome. Jason, welcome. It's always lovely to meet new people. Totally love it. And yeah, so that rebel archetype is willing to get into the conflict. So it's interesting. It makes me think of, my parents started a business in communication, and they were masters at it, and they developed a very good, service, and it was one of the top 3 agencies in this city at a time. But say within their personal life, not to call them out too much, but communication wasn't the strong point.
Those that can't do typically teach, right? And I find that probably And maybe that was the calling, right? I mean, I was bored and I thought everybody else is bored. Like, let's get everybody together on one screen on a Monday night. But I don't like conflict. So therefore, I will manage conflict. Uh, maybe that's the calling. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, right. Because you're in the role of being the moderator, the referee. You're there to, like make sure people don't go completely off the rails and wreck
Hmm.
your channel and stuff like that. And it's also there's such a huge difference between professional and personal, and
Yes.
and people draw that line really hard. So the two worlds don't necessarily meet. It's one of the things I actually feel happy about, helping people to create a life where they don't have two opposing professional and personal lives. They just have a life, and I call
Hmm.
that the sacred purpose, which we talked a lot about on the interview with me. And yeah, so the king archetype is a beautiful one. That's one that I have a lot of affection for. Actually, that's what this channel is named after, the king hero, literally beaconing out to the king heroes a little bit. Where are you as well? And while it sounds very masculine, it is also, and especially in this day and age, it can be very feminine because, or not that it's feminine, just that women can wear the king archetype much more than they ever have. Can you want to talk about that? What it's like to be a king in your world?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, I didn't know I was a king until your test told me I was a king. But it's I would say it's a very heavy weight in terms of understanding people and know in trying to bring them all together on one screen and knowing who has beef with who and who has what kind of personality type and who gets crazy, who gets shy, who needs comfort, needs this, who needs space. Um, and it's a heavy weight that most people, as I told you before, I like to people to people. And just
Oh, yes.
knowing and understanding, yeah, knowing and understanding how they operate is very I think that's the most important piece when you have 10 people on one screen and knowing how people prefer to be talked to or what they react to or what will make them engage or what will bring out the best of them. And just knowing and understanding that is very important. Now, you don't always get it right. I'll own that. You don't always get it right. Trying to understand how people work and operate and all of these things is very head spinning sometimes, but you make your best guess, especially when people are regulars and they're coming back all the time. Like you get a feel for what they will react to or won't react to. But I would say it's a heavy weight just trying to do that, and then everything that goes behind the scenes, everything that's on the screen, everything that's like all of their interpersonal issues together on other screens, and it's like you're taking all of that and you're crumbling it all up in a little ball and hoping it doesn't implode. It's scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, the ultimate multitasking going on. People kind of have no idea, and that's okay. It's not a matter for anyone to feel bad about how much work goes into the back end of any kind of, like, once you jump on, it's fairly easy. Although you're still managing many elements at one time and some unexpected ones too.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's in fact very feminine, is the ability to multitask, where
Hmm.
men are better at like just zeroing in, spotlighting on one thing. Women can floodlight out and keep an eye on the big picture. That way all the children don't die.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard a lot, especially lately, that I just sit here and do nothing, and I laugh at it because I'm like, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. You have no idea, even when I put together certain panels or know who does what and how. That the all of the work is all behind the scenes, and then sitting here watching it come to fruition. That's like, okay, we've metered up. We're right here at this level. How do I maintain this level right here? And just knowing how somebody will react and so on and so forth. Like because your levels will go up and it'll go over or it's going to drop and it could go either direction and it's up to me to try to ensure that it stays there. And sometimes that requires very minimal work. Some people can people themselves. but most of the time that requires a lot of patience and just understanding, and that's really hard. To
Right.
me, it's really hard, at least.
Oh, well, you do it really, really well. And I just wanted to point out that for the king, that's the behind the scenes is the biggest part of their world. So no matter what you see in any leader, person that's willing to get out and be the movement or the head of the spear, if it's more of a warrior approach, then yeah, the behind the scenes is a heavy weight. It's part of it. So
Mhm.
it's good to understand that. And yeah, understanding the people. I was wondering if maybe you want to get your guests to do my archetype quiz before they come on, so you can right away get a profile of who they are and know
Ooh.
know how to speak to them. Not so you can manipulate them, of course. That's not. You could use it that way, but you can speak their language and appeal to their values. Is one of the really good things. If
But see, that's the fun in it is, learning I mean, obviously there's regulars, right? So I've learned that those people already, but the exploration part is the fun part of it all. And
nice.
that's what I enjoy is getting to know and understand them. I think they should all go take your quiz anyways, just because it's interesting to learn about yourself. But as far as when they come on, even for the first time, it's like opening a Christmas gift on Christmas morning, and you have no idea what's going to be behind it.
Nice, nice. That's beautiful. That's also pretty rebel of you that is interested in that excitement, right? Because it's new, it's risky. You don't know that person. Maybe they're going to
Hmm.
flip out or
Hmm.
something like that. So, yeah,
Hmm.
that's very cool. I like it. And so, can you talk more about peopling the people? What does that mean to you? I might have named this stream that, but I went in a different direction. So I like this
That's
phrase, but I don't totally know what it means.
peopling the people is I don't know. To me, it's really deep diving into who people are between their persona that they put on screen. We all know that that can be different. But then also uh, kind of navigating through it's some people you have to keep them within boundaries. Am I feedbacking on my end? Is it just me?
I do not hear anything on my end. Can you let us know in the chat if you're hearing any echo at all? It sounds clean on my side. I can mute while you talk if that helps.
Let's see if maybe that's the fix. For me, I guess you probably have speakers. Maybe if I talk lower, if I talk lower, it won't feedback. But I would say, um, knowing because some people put a certain persona on screen, but that doesn't mean that they don't have real lives, they don't have feelings, they don't have all of these things. And just knowing and understanding what kind of persona they put on there versus who they might be when they leave. And and that one I can tell based on messages and interacting, engaging with them privately, and so on and so forth, and knowing kind of who's a little softer, who's a little harder, who's a little crazy, who's a little this, but also just uh, managing who they balance out with on screen as well. Sometimes I know if somebody's going to come on the screen and somebody else is already there, it's going to get crazy. And trying to ensure that I put a boundary up or making sure we stay on beat, instead of going completely off the rails that's vital to me, because I want them to have that moment that they want. They're coming on there to have that crazy moment, but they also need to like stay within the guardrails. Like we can't just let you go off completely. And there are people who try to push that and take an advantage of things and so on and so forth. But as long as you stay within that little space, then we can keep rolling. But I don't know. I think just having like knowledge and understanding of people is the most important aspect to being able to host a plethora of different variety pack of Pandora's box and being able to maintain it in such a way where They still like you when they leave. They still want to come back. You're still polite to them, but you still also have to put your foot down too. That's the hardest balance there, I'd say.
Yeah, that's the art of good boundaries that tends to show up really strong in a nurturer archetype, where the rebel might be more inclined to burn a bridge or two, and really like do this. But when you talk about peopling as a verb, like an action that you do, again, it being in that role where you want to make an open space and have it stay friendly regardless of the conflict. And so that's a very fine art. Um, why do you think debate matters now more than ever? And what would be the whole purpose behind debating?
I don't even think that it's necessarily debate is that vital. I think being able to give your opinion and have a place to do it where you feel comfortable doing it. That's what I see is most of the issue for others, where they might say, "Oh, the link's down there. Come on up. Come argue with me." But the person might be afraid to go up because are you going to get muted? Are you going to get booted? Can you speak freely? Is it neutral ground? And most spaces aren't when people want to argue their thought process out. So most people don't feel comfortable doing it because it's like, why would I do it if you're not going to allow me the space to do it and speak freely? Uh, to me, the most important part is not necessarily debate. It's just the ability to get on somewhere where I'm not going to boot you for your opinions. Your opinions are of your own and they don't bother me, right? The most important part is being able to get there and say it and have the ability to say it. Whereas it just kind of turned into debate, but realistically, it to me, it's more of just being able to express whatever crazy. I mean, we had a guy talking about Jesus and mushrooms, and I was like, "What?" But that's what he wanted to talk about. If you think Jesus and mushrooms goes together somehow in some weird, crazy way, I'll give you the platform to do it. But I'll also give the platform to other people who are going to come in and dismantle your argument entirely. So like, I don't care about throwing my opinions out there very strongly, but other people do. And so here's the space to do it where I won't judge you for it. I won't think less of you for it. I'll just give you the space.
Yeah. So personally, I think people should debate more, and it's one of the most common uh, comments that I get. Could you have this guy on that I already interviewed and that guy on that I already interviewed to go a little head to head? I didn't mean to
Mhm.
make bird hands there. This is not good, apparently. And because the discussions need to be had. They're sometimes diametrically opposed in their viewpoint, and that's not just opinion. That can be like claims about reality in law, in health, in arenas that really have high stakes and matter.
Mhm.
And the inability to just have conversations with each other is like nobody wants to accept an invite like that, right? They
Mhm.
all turn away. Now, I understand it a little bit. And from the king's perspective, again, it comes down to time. What do you actually have bandwidth for? And if you've got a big kingdom already going in a certain direction and able to make use of the work that you have, then you might see it as a waste of time to go and debate others. But, if the knowledge is bona fide and it's needed and it needs to be spoken and get out in the airwaves and is subject to censorship as we're pretty much used to these days, then yeah, I would still invite that. It is a pain in the ass because people are going to say things that you don't want to bump up against. Um, like to me, again, I'll pass it over to you now. But the biggest point of the debate could be, or the biggest potential of the debate could be learning, right?
Um,
Having some new added perspective to the one you already had.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in my opinion, and this is why I don't go running around panel to panel expressing it too often. My opinion is reserved for me and my home and my family, and that's where we apply it, and that's the only place that matters, right? Everyone else on the internet, like you're gonna formulate your own thoughts, you're gonna do your own thing, and I don't feel any need to push myself onto you because I don't I'm not here to change your worldview. That's not my goal. My goal here online is to allow you to express your worldview to others. And if they get their mind changed in the event of that, fine, great. But I don't feel like my opinion is like I love my opinion. I love my value system, my principles, and where I stand, but it is reserved for me and mine. But anyone else, like I don't feel that I'm not going to come in and change your worldview. I'm not going to come in and make you think twice. It's just, as you said, it's a waste of time, and that's how I look at it. Like, is it a waste of my blood pressure? Is it a waste of my headspace? Is it a waste of, my thought process and my brain waves and what I have going on? To me, it's wasteful. You're either going to listen to a few things I might say and think about it, or you're not. But I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you, nor am I going to debate you on it because you obviously are coming to the table with your own opinion, anyways. So, but to others, they think or believe or want to change the world. You can come change the world utilizing my platform, but you're not gonna change mine, and mine's gonna stay right where it's at, and I'm not gonna try to change yours either. And I think that's what allows me to keep that neutrality, right, with with everyone else's opinions and being able because I don't care. Not that I don't care about their opinion, but I don't care to change anybody's mind. I don't care that you wanna try to change mine. I care about me and my children and our value system privately, but what you do on screen is your own thing. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. Is the echo gone, by the way?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I can stay unmuted. Yeah, well, that's the trap, right? That I watch your guys and more for the sake, less for the sake of the content that they're arguing about, and more for what you're observing, like how people are being. And there's like you just said it. You can only decide, say, for the sake of learning for yourself.
Mhm.
You can't decide, I'm going to say it 10 times, I'm going to say it 20 times, I'm going to say it 100 times in the hopes, and this is often unconscious, in the hopes of changing that other person's mind, fixing them, making them, what if you think they're stupid, making them smart like you or whatever, right? So that's where personally I find it so fascinating because you've got all of the hidden inside motives that are not just hidden from uh, other people, but hidden from ourself. That's the nature of the unconscious. And so you can see these drivers, and they're, I can stay part of it for a time, but after a while, it's just this. It's just
Yeah.
literally programs interacting with programs, and there's no. I keep having the word in my mind, porosity, right? Being porous, and being able to take in, not being wishy-washy, not being indecisive or unclear about your position, but like there's always expansion is what I notice. You can always learn something.
Oh yeah. I will say I do enjoy the educational portion of the debates. We had one Monday night and it was really morality based in terms of America and what we started with in our framework. And gosh, I just loved hearing the back and forth on that. To me, it is enjoyable to hear different argument points, but behind that is the educational piece. That's what gets me excited. I've always loved learning. I was a student for 11 years happily, because it just gets me so excited to learn something new, on a different day. When we stop learning, that's when we start dying, and anything beyond that I don't know. It's lovely.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. And then there's an unconscious drive to win. So that shows up with the the could be the rebels, but more warrior. And there's one of the composite programs. I call it a composite program, not to use lingo on this channel because people don't necessarily know what I'm talking about. But there are programs that carry a lot of weight. And what does that mean is they require a great deal of energy to operate. So they're expensive energetically. Again, by their very definition, they're unconscious. And it drives people to want to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll go on the low side of the program from a place of feeling like they can't win. And then they'll spend their life clawing their way to a place where they can win, and they get tricked thinking they arrived in the good place. But what it does is it actually makes them a target, because anyone who's walking around running that I can win program, everybody wants to take them down. Have you
Yes.
noticed any of that dynamic?
Yes, we see that a lot actually. It's like knocking the knight off the horse kind of concept. If they want to, like, because you want to win so bad, I'm gonna do everything I can to stand in your way. I see that a lot. I see a lot of. I also see them kind of stand in the way of themselves, like not willing to be open to any other thought process because this is my goal and this is what I want. So because of that, you're not gonna you can't uh like you can't be open to any other thing because that thing is in the way of you winning. So the inability to be flexible and they just knock themselves down because of it.
Yeah, again, it's exhausting. So it's not sustainable to go on like that,
Mm-mm.
and you end up a kind of killer too, because if there's a sense that you can win, you might very well feel like the other one can't win at all cost, and you're going to kill them
Right.
in case they win.
And that's dangerous because then you put that out there, and it it's you could get dirty with it. I see dirty tactics all the time with like, well, I can't let you win. I see a lot of people come in bad faith because they don't want to let you win, or even to like grant something or give grace somewhere. I think the echo is still coming in again. I don't
Is
know if
it okay?
it's
I'll
you're working off of speakers, aren't you?
I am, but it never is an issue. So
That's
StreamYard
weird.
seems to be able to handle that. Yeah, I've got my volume a little bit down too, but I'll just mute when you talk. Nukesis, someone said they already did the quiz. That's awesome. They got the Nature's Child. And then Nukesis said, is it possible to have or be all of the archetypes? Absolutely. This is kind of the punchline of the hero's journey, that you are on all places of the hero's journey at one time. It's massively complicated because of that, and massively complex. So the point of doing the quiz is to give you a point of entry, a place to begin working where there might be a concentration of lost energy and gifts as well. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in. And yeah, the state of neutrality is kind of a fascinating one. That's become part of our popular culture.
Mhm.
You know, you don't pick a side. That can be a very interesting position. That often, have you ever noticed this when you don't pick a side? This might be more in the personal life. I'm not saying that you should operate any different on your debate channel, of course, but when you don't pick a side, say two friends start to war it out and you don't pick a side, the neutral can also come with a high cost. Like
Mhm.
I've been in that place where, I'm trying to straddle both worlds and still love both of them and just keep praying they come together. And then it can be that I'm out
Yep. Yep.
because of
You
it.
yeah, I get I I feel like and it's always going to be my fault, right? If I don't pick a side. We just saw this happen actually where they presumed that I picked one side over the other because I didn't that's what it was. This was a long time ago actually. Because I didn't speak up towards things that somebody was saying, they presumed that I just agreed with it. And it's like, well, I don't feel the need to speak. I don't care. What do I care? Like their opinions are theirs. Like, what do I care to say anything against it? It is what it is. Like other people were doing if everybody else is already talking, why do I feel the need to chime in? Right. But they take silence as agreement to something that's being said. And it's that's how I maintain my neutrality, by just not diving in at all. But then they see that as I just agree with whatever they're saying, and it's like, you can't you can't win for losing in this aspect, and there's never a time or place where it's ever going to be a winning factor, no matter what. They appreciate that you're neutral, but then when they want you to take their side, that then they're mad that you're not saying anything to the other side. It's like, but you gotta pick one. Like, you gotta pick one. So I don't know. It goes left, right, center, up, down, over and around all the time. But usually everything's always my fault, and I just accept it.
Well, there you go. That's very kingly of you, right? The king will assume responsibility for everything going on, even though it might look like others are to blame, but that's very different than responsibility, where you're like, okay, well, I called the debate. I got all these people in here. They're battling over my consent. I I love that. If you don't pick a side, then people get all up in arms and try to make you do that, and then silence. This became very popular in the alt law world, that silence is acquiescence. If you say nothing, you are agreeing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not always the case. There's the warrior will pick their battles very carefully and say, okay, is this a place to lose energy?
Yes, and but choosing wisely. Like, and this comes down to that whole I don't have the time for this shit kind of thing, right? Um, Pick your battles very wisely. It in the aspect of debating. Like, I try to choose and nitpick through what is most vital to me. Do I feel like engaging and having some fun? Do I feel like telling my opinion here, or is it even worth it? And sometimes I'm just like, it's not worth the energy. It's just going to give me a headache. So I'll let other people duke that one out, especially during open panel. That's the biggest portion. But sometimes I feel like it's important to say, you're stupid. Why are you thinking this? But most of the time, it's just I'll save my energy for when someone else wants to get into it and tango with someone else, and that's where I have to put my energy into, is making sure that they're mitigating through. It gets a little rough, but to the responsibility thing, that's another big piece, in terms of, like, when people act out and have bad behavior on my show, I'm expected to shame, chastise, boot them, get them out of here, never let them on again. And it's like, but that's not my order, right? That may be your order, but that's not my order. And I'll be blamed. I'm always blamed for other people's bad behavior just because I'm allowing them to come back, or whatever the case, or I didn't speak up fast enough for them. And that's you have to accept that. You have to accept that whatever bad behavior is going to be on my screen, whatever interruptions, whatever crazy off the wall things people say, that will always fall on me no matter what. And people always point it at me instead of the actual person that's doing the bad behavior. And it's just like, you got to take the hit all the time, and you're always going to take the hit, but that still stands with your principle of, I allow you a platform to do or say what you need to do, and I'm going to continue to do that, even though you may be an idiot, even though you may be in a butthole sometimes. uh, I'll still provide the space because that's who you are, and I accept the fact that that's who you are.
Right, very good. And I like the fact that I'm brand new to the debate space. Literally, haven't tuned in with debates, just a little bit on Ben's channel, which I do recommend, and the dog face deliberating dudes over there. But in your system, it's your chatters that there are people in your chat that actually are like, can boot somebody out, can be the reason if they send you a super chat. And so that's really fun, because that's more like nature.
Hmm.
And rather than, I mean, I wouldn't hold it against you if you just stood up and wielded your trident, and you were the, like, okay, you're out of here. And that might be
Yeah.
more like me, actually. But
It's
to,
more, I do it. My rule is, if you start disrespecting me Or if you break TOS, I can do things that like are absolutely like we can't allow that on the space because it ruins everybody else's, right?
What's
But
TOS?
terms of service, the YouTube guidelines, if they say certain slurs or certain things that could get your channel demonetized, reported, so on and so forth, we can't have that, right? So when you break that, you're automatic. That's an automatic no. We're not going to do this. But when you're disrespecting me, if I'm telling you X, Y, and Z, and you're just absolutely being a butt about it, not listening, whatever, okay, now it's time to go because you're not respecting the platform and the space, and it's time to go. So that's when I will directly speak up, but all of the other behaviors and stupid silly things, you're right. I leave it to the chat. Let the people vote. Let the people handle you. The chat always wins, and that's my role. Is because people will say, who won the debate? The chat. The chat always wins. They'll roast you. They are the ones who get to vote on stuff. They are the ones who get to determine your endeavors and your whether you lost or whatever the case may be. They'll roast you. They'll roast me. But they get to decide whether you should be on this screen or not. And I think that turning that over to the people, number one, it keeps my hands clean. It keeps me neutral. But number two, it's what they want. It's their show. Let them run it.
Very good. I love it. Yeah, that's really cool. People slur all the time. Yeah, I noticed there's been a little drinking going on the channel sometimes. Different occasions, you could call it, and that definitely is an influence. And do you notice, like, do you ever do themes where it's like alcohol or cannabis or psychedelics or something, which keeps coming up? So funny.
I used to do, I used to host 4 different series of streams, before I went straight to debate stuff. Number 1 was the Mod Monday. Then we have the Throwdown Thursdays, which originally started as Roasted Tomatoes, where I would actually do a topic and talk about it, and then I'd open the panel. But I switched that into interviewing people after that, and then that turned into Throwdown Thursday, where I obviously interview people, they give us their thoughts, and then the panel comes on and fights them. So, because it just kind of started becoming that. So we started doing those. And then I did the Sleepy Tomato, which has now made its comeback. But then we did Sippin' Streams. Sippin' Streams were always fun. It was every Saturday night. We just get cantankerous. I'd have my 2 drinks, and it was like open door policy. Welcome, bring your own booze. Let's have some fun. Those went away. Obviously, it got a little, because it wasn't focal pointed on debate. We bring them back every once in a while, but we've had people come on that are completely sloshed. We've had people come on that are all, obviously stoned. We had a guy last night that was on, and the way he was interjecting into the conversation was very irrelevant. And I remember asking him at one point, I'm like, have you been drinking? Like, are you high? What's going on? And he's like, yeah, I've had like 8 beers and this and that. And it's like, do me a favor and just shut up for the night. Like, don't talk. Just sit there and look pretty and shut up for the night, because you are now wasting everybody's time. But I mean, we have our funny moments, and the idea is to kick back and lay back and have a good open panel once we get to that point. But during the debate, I want them to be serious and on point and focal pointed. But the open panels, it's kind of like come as you are, have some fun, kick off your shoes, and have the conversation. If you get cantankerous, and we can have some fun with it and make fun of you.
Very good. And do you know what Ben's referring to here? Trains eat the sound of humans to run, or maybe that they're just chatting with themselves.
Trains eat the sounds of humans to run.
It's
Uh,
not even a sentence, I guess. Don't care. Yeah, they must be talking amongst themselves. No problem. I just thought there was some behind the scenes language that
I
I'm
want to
aware
know what the behind the scenes language is for that.
of. Yeah, exactly. Fill us in, you guys. So, yeah, I'm curious about that whole neutrality because it's become popular culture. Now, I'm not saying this is for you, but if we can talk, just in general around it, it's become part of popular culture not to care. So there's that book, Let Them, right? If they're going to do X, Y, Z, then just let them. If they're going to be drunk and belligerent, let them to a point. Obviously, again, not talking about you specifically, but this there's a certain freedom in it where you're not needing to run after every person to manage them, to change their mind, to save them is often the case, right? Like, oh, you're in danger and I'm going to push you out of the way of that train that's coming, if we talk trains. And then the flip is that you don't care, that it's like hands off. Okay, you want to run in front of a train, you run in front of that train, you just go ahead and do that. I don't care. There's a lot of podcasters, they talk about the whole agenda and the pandemic and all of the things that are coming down at us, and they've decided not to care that they want to kill off the vast majority of the population on Earth.
Right.
And they just don't care. So this is something I'm curious what you think, but to me this is not a positive move, actually. What do you think?
No, I agree with you 110%. For instance, if I was watching a good friend of mine do something stupid, I'm going to stop them. I'm going to tell them, don't do that. Now, when it comes to people on the internet, that's a whole nother ballgame. I don't care. Like, you have friends and family who should care about you. You have friends and family who should be doing those things. Like, that's up to you. But people who are close to me, people that matter, I do care. I do care to ensure that they're safe, that they're being smart. If they say something and I'm like, dude, that's nuts. Why would you even think that? Um, and I think that that's kind of where society's gotten, is to a place of being so lackadaisical that we are letting our friends do bad things. And I don't think we should be doing that. If we walked around to our friends and family and give them a little knock upside the head every now and then, most people would probably have their heads out of their asses instead of in. However, we're at this like live and let live concept. We're at this point of allowing uh, like best friends, girlfriends, where the girl starts uh, dating a bad guy or something, and the friend says, "Well, if he makes you happy." No, he's a bad guy. He's like, a drug lord or something crazy. Like, no, knock her upside her head and tell her to get out of that, because that's not good for her. I think we should carry some weight for the people we care about. I think we should put our foot down and say, no, you're being stupid. I think we should not let them. Now, do I have control over some random person walking down the street? No. Should I care to throw my opinions at them? No. That's for their family, their inner circle, their community to do so. And I think that I think we got into this weird place, especially millennials, I think, like people my age, where we went into isolation mode. Like, this is mine. This is all I care about. Anyone else, do your thing. Where we forgot to take care of our family, our friends. We forgot to keep them on the track. We forgot that it's that support system that kept us on the tracks, and that's where we got lost.
Yeah, really well said. I like that. That's interesting about the millennials and that isolation mode that I think is a big part of that. Yeah, and it's tricky because I agree with what you're saying, but say in a practical situation where you do see your girlfriend going out with the wrong guy, and you tell her, "Listen, he's not good for you." What's going to happen? What's the outcome of that going to be? Right?
Well,
Generally.
I think knowing, and this goes back to peopling the people, knowing how your friend is and how they'll react or engage or respond to what you're saying. I think that's the important part. Leading with care. Typically, women should lead with care towards other women. Look, I care about you, and here's what I want to tell you, and here's why.
Mhm.
If you go to a woman and say, "Don't do that," she's probably gonna rebel and say, "I'm gonna do it now, anyways." Understanding and knowing how to interact and engage with other people. But if that person is your friend, they're going to put a lot of credibility to what you're telling them, and they're probably going to listen. It may not be in that moment, but it's going to sit like inception, like a little seed in their brain. And as they start seeing things, they're going to be thinking even further. But again, you can't control the world, but sometimes you have to cut loose, um, but like let the bad apples roll down the hill. If your friend is doing something that's absolutely terrible for them, let's say even drugs, right? Let's just use a really easy one. If you have a friend that gets into drugs and you're trying to tell them don't do this, you have to cut them off if they're not listening. You have to, because if not, you're going to keep enabling. I won't be your friend if you do bad behavior. Therefore, I'm going to let you. I have to cut you loose because that is negative, and I don't want that in my life. And that usually is the bigger kind of smack in the head when we remove ourselves from them, remove access. But even girlfriends, like I think if I tell girlfriend, hey, that guy's bad for you, don't do it, and then 2 weeks later she's like, hey, come hang out with us, we're gonna go do it, and I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. She's gonna get the picture that your boyfriend bad. I don't want to hang with boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. So, like, here's the challenge. We're in the nurturer archetype right now. If anyone doesn't realize, this is all like when it comes to enabling and caring and trying to interfere with people best you can out of love, like you said. Lead with care, right?
Hmm.
That's if you can truly get to that place where you care, meaning the vibe is love. You're not afraid for them. You're not um, you know, trying to control them, make them a different person, make them love someone different. They will get that. That's the unconscious language going on. If you come at them with fear, they're going to react to that and have something to push against and resist.
Hmm.
And if you come with love, then it's much more palatable, at least if you're, say, able to deliver tough love. Some relationships can stand that, and
Hmm.
some can't. you know, like
Yeah.
I've got an aunt reaching out to me post pandemic. I've seen her once in 6 years, and she's always, "Oh, I really wanted to see you," and then she always cancels on me when the
Oh.
time comes. I know. It's kind of like, oh, because it would be nice to have some family connection, but there's this, and I when I if we really end up seeing each other in 12 days, which is the next plan that isn't broken yet, then part of me is going through this. Like, I kind of want to deliver some kind of message and talk about, rather than just sweep it all under the rug,
Mhm.
what happened. There was some, I'll be dramatic here, there was some violence, right? Like, there was
Mm.
some cuts, not like physical violence, but it was
Right.
emotionally being ostracized by a family that is quite extended and everything. And then to just go on and pretend that didn't happen and nothing
Like
wrong happened
like an
is
ostrich
kind of
putting its head in
weird.
the sand.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And there's yeah, I'm working through that right now. Just how to do I just be
Some
happy?
I don't know. Some things I think are better left unsaid, and actions speak louder, right? So, if, for instance, one family member randomly cut me off or something, but I still engage with another one, I like that's what I care about is engaging with that person, even though something else happened. I want to be a part of you. I want to be here, and your dealings with them are your own. If they bring it up and want to talk about it, I could still throw my opinion in there, like I care about everyone or whatever, and I don't want anybody to be cut off because we were stronger together. But still, like, let the actions speak, in whatever way you want them to speak. Sometimes words just make it crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I still have some work to
Hmm.
do about that.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, let's see. Where do we want to go? There was a comment here from Ben. Odin says, if you want to be happy, do not be wise. So, yeah, that one was the most fun. That's a pretty good
Do
quote
not be
right there.
wise.
Do not be wise. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, ignorance is bliss. I've discovered that.
Mhm.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
it's
like,
bliss, right?
yeah,
With the quotations.
with quotations.
Yeah.
But there are instances where I'm like, God, I would so much have rather not known any of this. Ugh, it's like going to Disney World after you've already worked there for 10 years and you know all the behind the scenes stuff, and it just takes away all the magic. Like, I don't want to know everything. I just want to just be bop, and go do the roller coasters and have my little lemonade out of a swirly straw and have some fun, not knowing anything behind the scenes is going on. Sometimes it's just so much happier. But when people like show you everything behind the scenes, it's like, that was not beneficial to me. But wisdom does, I mean, it does help though too, because then in a moment where you would love to just be happy and bebop along, you're actually able to know and understand better why you can't be happy and bebop along. And this is not a time to bebop along, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, some things it was just like, they that whole thing, it's been a long, slow trickle PTSD also for those that made it through. I'm curious, maybe I'll start with a question about this. What happened for you in 2020? How did things shift and change for you at all? What was going through your
Um,
mind?
oh goodness. That was very stressful. The kids being brought, like having to be at home. It was right in the middle of tax season, and I worked for a financial management firm at the time. And tax season for us was, I mean, I was pulling 80 hours a week like it was my job. Now, thankfully, I was already working from home to begin with, but I was working from home and my kids were at school, like they were in pre-K or whatever. And so I had the better capacity to do it without being interrupted. Um, and it was just a whirlwind, I would say, of I remember when it first happened, it was like what, mid-March that year. And it was like, what are we supposed to be expecting? What is supposed to be happening? Like, and you're seeing things get taken away slowly. Like one little piece that at first you can't do this, now you can't do that. Now it has to be limited. Now it has to be a mask. Now everything's shut down. Now blah 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 blah. And it was miserable because it's like you don't know what else is next. Like what's next? I remember sitting there looking out the window one day and I'm like, just bring on the zombie apocalypse. Let's at least make it fun and worth it. Like, give me something interesting. If I'm going to sit here and be pondering about the end of the world, at least bring on the zombies and just get it over with.
Yeah, that's so fun. You remind me of a friend I spoke with last few nights, and they had prepped like crazy, right? Just seeing the writing on the wall. I'd also started to prep before the pandemic really hit, and then they got so far into it and had so much storage, and we're running out of space. And it was saying like, okay, just bring it on already. I want the end of the world, the crash of the financial system, everybody dies. Let's just bring it on, make it happen already.
Just
I'm
end it.
ready. Like this, and be careful what you wish for. But like, did you drink the Kool-Aid for any amount of time, for 5 minutes or 3 weeks or anything like that?
No, I didn't think anything was that big of a deal to begin with. It was scary in the beginning because you didn't know what was going on, and the information was like, wait, so there's this thing that's going around and people are getting sick. Okay, tell me more, right? Like, what is actually happening? And it just didn't feel like anybody was really knocking in the information. It didn't feel like anything was really actually that bad happening. And so it made it actually more frustrating because it's like, why am I going through all of this if nothing's happening? And that's why it's like, just bring on the zombies so it could be worth all of this frustration. But it was more like I didn't feel like I drank the Kool-Aid. I had to do what I had to do to make things work for, me, my husband, the kids, all of those things, but it wasn't it was like I'm being compliant to the degree to keep us safe from the government, but I'm not being compliant because I want to be compliant. At this point, I just kind of have to make stuff work. And I don't know. I didn't believe anything that I didn't feel like anything was really happening at all. It just felt like one big mess, one big PR mess that nobody got the memo that, "Hey, it's really okay, guys."
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think there was because I had got into the. Would you consider yourself in the truth movement at all? I know that the debate space is kind of its own world, but do you
Uh,
consider yourself a truther, or I know that
I
word is
consider
probably
myself not giving a shit enough to put myself in any, group.
for
And
sure.
by way of that, I mean, uh it doesn't matter whether we know the truth or not at this point. what matters is I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to do what I have to do, I'm going to get things done, I'm going to take care of my kids, I'm going to feed my kids, and eventually one day I'll pass away. So whatever is the truth, whatever is conspiracy, whatever's going on behind closed doors, whatever the government's planning, it doesn't matter, because nothing is happening right here, right now in my home. And I have to worry about us first. And there's no amount of truth that's going to come out that's going to change anything we're doing right now. Even if I accept all of the truth, even if I accept that they're hiding things, or this is happening, or whatever, even accepting it, it doesn't change anything for me.
Mm-hmm. And so I haven't noticed this yet come up, but do you end up with normies on your debates that believe in a boogeyman virus? And
Yeah, we're all over the place. And that's the great thing about the platform, I'd say, because we pull communities from all sorts of different directions. And with that comes many people who believe one thing, don't believe another thing. We have our conspiracy theorists, we have our truthers, we have left, right, religious, atheists. We have them all over the place. But that's what makes it special. So if there is a truther on screen and there's a person who masks up still now today, they have the conversation, and you let them have the conversation, but they're everywhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's really cool. Let's see. I just want to find a few comments. Michelle said something. Happiness can be a waste of time and doesn't do much for true problem-solving solutions. So that's pretty wise.
Happiness can be a waste of time and doesn't do much for. Yeah. I mean, if your end goal is to just be happy, you're not going to solve any problems, actually, because if I just wanted to focus on happiness, well, give me a beach, a margarita, and I'll just lay back for the rest of the day. But I'm not solving any problems, right? I'm not taking care of anything that needs to be taken care of.
Right, exactly. You won't create from there. There's no pressure. There's no, you actually need some resistance, or at
Mhm.
least we often need resistance, because I would do the same thing, just be laying out on the beach and having a nice life. No problem. Radical Sobriety said that he was deplatformed, became radicalized. Yeah, because you were speaking out, Radical Sobriety, because you were saying unpopular things. Yeah, we all experienced, I think, at some level. That's
Yeah.
when the Gauntlet came off for me. Speaking of Gauntlet, and from your show, is that a separate channel, by the way, the Gauntlet?
Mhm. Yep,
Okay,
it's a
all
whole
right, yeah,
separate channel.
okay,
It houses the open panels. I'll start on Raging Tomato, and then we'll raid over to the Gauntlet, and that just keeps the debate separate and the open panel separate, because it's an open door, and I don't know who's going to be stepping on stage next. So to keep the original debate safe and the original channel safe, we maneuver over to the Gauntlet, and that way, if something happens, I can just dump the video and not be too as concerned about it.
that's cool. Yeah, both Ben and I were deplatformed. I lost my YouTube channel, and lots of people got their YouTube channel back, but they said no when I went and, like, pretty please, I'll be good and everything. Like, I said all the right things, and they're like, no, you don't deserve it. You're a
And
nemesis.
that is strange to me, because especially for Americans, and I believe you're Canadian, right?
Yeah,
Up in Canada.
I am.
But for Americans, it's like, this is who we are. We allow people to have the freedom of speech, whether it's right, wrong, off center, even misinformation. It doesn't matter. If I want to say it, I'm going to say it. But obviously, YouTube has a different policy for that. But it's strange that we would mask, or I'm sorry, censor people's speech for purposes of what they believe it's misinformation. It's strange to me.
Yeah, no, it got really out of hand. I remember getting strikes for it. The nail in the coffin for me was talking about controlled opposition. Do you ever consider or think about that, or maybe, like, do you end up with those kind of people in the debate space? Have you ever been able to identify, oh, there's a well poisoner, or people?
What do you mean by controlled opposition?
So in every war, there is the outright opposition. You could call, I'll use the word us, those who stood up and said, no, you can't force me to put a poison injection in my body. You can't, tell me what to do. You have no authority. Show me the law. And so that's the obvious opposition. And so they manufacture as a that is fueled by a propaganda machine. They manufacture a controlled opposition. So they appear to be the opposition. They have the narrative of the opposition, which they harvest the
Mm-hmm.
words. They like you can literally see how they were picking up on our dialogue and then spreading it out. They don't get censored. They have large audiences. They often are fear porn spreaders. They might have, 80 to 90% of what they're saying is true. And then they take you sideways on some very key 10% kind of points
Mm-hmm.
to maintain certain things in place. Like a lot of the controlled opposition was pushing that the boogeyman virus is a bioweapon engineered in a lab. Well, to the best of my knowledge and research, that's a pile of crap. And what it does is it holds germ theory in place as if germs are the sole cause of disease. Therefore, we are always going to need to be saved from this, whether it's germ warfare or just nature's warfare. Then that whole paradigm, what it meant is they could have pandemicked us into the future indefinitely,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you dismantle that whole paradigm, then people are like, no, I get sick because I'm toxic and deficient.
Right.
Two reasons, right? And they can poison us. That's more or less what the strategy is.
Mm-hmm.
So then the controlled opposition are out there making sure those paradigms don't die. The ones that power hinges on, especially medical tyranny.
I
So
see.
yeah, I did a whole
Yeah.
study.
I mean, I would say even in the debate space, you have people that will, like, it's easy to twist words and shift gears without people realizing it's happening live. And they don't even realize it till after they go back and listen, and then they're like, "Oh crap, they did it to me. Like they redirected me and I didn't even realize what they were doing." But yeah, we have a lot of well poisoning, a lot of controlling the narrative, a lot of that happens in the debate space. You just have to be smart enough to know that it's happening when it is.
Mhm,
That's the only way to combat it, honestly.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Has anyone called anyone out and openly called them controlled opposition or anything like that?
Yeah, but then if you're good at controlling the narrative, you can just spin it right. You can gaslight your way through a debate very easily. It's not
Totally.
that hard. Yeah,
No,
not
exactly.
that hard
Yeah,
at all.
not at all. Yeah, Alex Jones says a few true things, and he always gets me. It's funny because I've been watching him on Luke Story's channel that I did an interview on in Texas last year, I guess. And the first parts of their conversation, you must know Alex Jones, eh? He's big
I know the
figure.
name. I know the
Okay.
name.
Okay. So yeah, he's a big figure in the truth telling world. Some people might call him a grandfather along with Freeman. And um, so the first parts of his conversation, I always lean into him and I'm like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's like a real human being. There's something. And then the second, and if there's like a third hour, it ramps up. It gets into the whole fear porn, the adrenaline, the jumping up and down on the desk and telling you where you're going to die and all this kind of stuff. And that's to me a
Well,
sign of controlled opposition.
that's the drama capture though. That's how you
Hmm.
harness the audience, right?
Yeah.
You're appealing to their emotions in order to make them want to keep coming back to your information. So
Yeah.
staying on a sane level up front, it's like, "Yep, here's the information, here's what you needed to know. But you're gonna die. And then they're like, oh my God, I have to come back tomorrow to get more. That's
Exactly.
media at its finest.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, they're playing on the addictions. They know that fear sells
Hmm.
and keeps people magnetized. So yeah, that's that. And I call those guys that jump up and down on the desk clowns right? That they got a show and they're like, ooh, look at me, I'm a weirdo, and they discredit the whole entire movement,
Mhm.
right? That if they're like that, then it what do you call, sullies the water? Is that the expression? Sullies? I don't know.
Muddy the water. Muddy
Muddy,
the
thank you.
water.
Yeah, what, I don't know. I'm so bad at expressions. I was asking ChatGPT last night what some expression meant, and there's no expression like that. I'm like, okay, I made it up. Mm.
Well, yeah, that's like a dad getting a dad joke wrong or something, right? To do expressions.
Yeah, yeah, pretty good. And I'd be curious. This is totally tongue in cheek here, but I'd be curious if you ever had a group that would debate on psychedelics.
While they're on psychedelics or debate about psychedelics?
Could be both, but the more interesting one would be on.
Like the topic is psychedelics.
But no, that they would be on it. Maybe they could debate psychedelics while being on psychedelics.
So they are tripping and debating.
See, Beetle Babe, right away. She wants to watch that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, goodness. I've thought of the idea of like doing a drunk debate for funsies. So I mean, why not throw in psychedelics? Like, I don't even know if I don't know, because then you get to a point where you're trying to get through a conversation. I don't know. I would probably have to be the only one who is not inebriated to whatever
Totally.
degree to make sure, like, hey, you good, man?
Right.
it,
Exactly.
it could
Exactly.
get fun. It could get fun.
I think that could be very, very interesting because a lot of the veils come down. And I think my psychedelic days are over. I mean, it's behind me. I'm not hungry for that anymore. I find the world plenty psychedelic now that, the real world. But yeah, I think that would be so interesting. That you see a really different side of people. It's hard to run a persona. We all kind of protect behind our personality and doing this. We don't really want anyone to see you. And compared to booze, that it dissolves your boundaries, and people think that's a good thing, but there's something just so toxic about it. I don't know. I mean, probably booze and psychedelics are equally toxic to the person ingesting them, but there's something different that can happen. So I encourage you to organize something like that. Ben
I've
says he's
never
already.
I've never done like any type of psychedelics. I mean,
Yeah.
any type of. I don't like being out of control of my body, if that makes sense. And I don't like the feeling of being high or not knowing or not being of a, I'm in my mindset and this is who I am. I
Mhm.
never liked that or enjoyed it. So psychedelics would actually scare me because I wouldn't want it to be so open and doing whatever it feels like doing in that aspect. A lot of people have explained to me about like doing like shrooms or whatever, and I'm like, that sounds great for you. That sounds scary. That's a scary thought for me. I'm in my own head, and I don't even want that place to be open or exposing any other like new things. It's a scary thought, and I'm too. I would say I'm too much of a control freak in a sense to ever want to do that.
Right, right. Yeah, it's one of those arenas that you get out of your comfort zone again, being that construct of who you think you are. And
Mhm.
when that construct dissolves, it's extremely freeing. It's very challenging because it's like, well, who am I? And what do I have to hold on to? And all these ideas that you have that make up your psychic world, they just like just not there anymore. Or they can warp and change. And that really depends on the individual in that situation. It can also very much depend on the nature of the substance and how much, and the motive behind it. To me, I'm always a reader, and putting motive as a very important factor. How
Mhm.
what you're motivated from is going to color everything that you do. Like the whole ayahuasca journey, um, culture. It's turned into a whole culture where people are doing these ceremonies all the time. They're doing this medicine. And, I felt like the medicines taught me their lessons. I got the lessons. I've always gone to it for education, much more so than entertainment. I don't really find it that entertaining, but massively educating
Mhm.
in that, just being able to see beyond the veil. So,
I
you know,
like, I mean, I enjoy growing. Like I said earlier, education to me is very important, learning something new every day. But I also like to know that I'm growing and changing
mm,
and figuring my own self out. I like to be very aware of it. I like to be very, um, like I want to be able to navigate it myself. So the idea of allowing a substance to open that up tells me that I wouldn't have been able to do it myself, right? And I want to be able to do it myself. So it's up to me to be able to find those pieces and find that journey or figure out, like, am I doing what I need to do? Am I who I am? Am I a good person? Like, I want to run that narrative in my own brain and let it filter through on its own.
yeah, I hear you. I would never try to convince anyone otherwise.
Mhm.
It would be dangerous and you'd blame me if it didn't go well.
Right? I'd be like, "That sounds scary. Why did you do that?"
Yeah, yeah. What were you thinking? I have been known to lead people down certain roads that might not always go well. And
Mhm.
yeah, it often is about control. Some people will say, "Oh, let go of control," and I say, I'll call bullshit on that. You can't let go of control. You can act out of control. You can feel out of control. You can be wanting control, which is the programming that stops you from realizing you're actually in control. But if you can navigate spaces and find yourself and be, find true authentic control in places where it feels out of control, there's a
Mhm.
mastery that comes through that. So I can relate to what Ben's
Well,
saying there.
I did hypnotherapy a few years back, and to me, that was the best way to deep dive into my own little brain. And now I can create that. So if I'm like, man, I'm in a crazy headspace. I need to go back down to the pits of hell and figure out what's going on back there. That's something I can do consciously on my own and like go deep dive when I need to because I taught myself how to do that and I enjoyed the journey of doing that, I guess I could say. So being able to navigate that consciously now is even more it's like I discovered a door back there in the back of my brain that now I have a key to all the time, and I can just go in it when I need to. And I think that to me, being able to do that without having to do anything to get there I think that's more valuable.
Yes, absolutely. Not to rely on any substances and not to suffer the toxicity, because like one of the main reasons. If it was free, meaning there was no cost to the body, there I might have more interest. But it's not free at all. And frankly, you just get lessons, and lessons aren't learning, right?
Mhm.
You just get like, here's what you need to work on. Okay, well, got it. Now I need to go work on it.
Right.
Right? So the information
Thanks for the
is
tip.
yeah, thanks for the tip. Thanks for the tip again. Oh, thanks for the same tip again. I
Right.
started noticing these kind of patterns. So it's like, yeah, I don't need to go back to any medicines to teach me again.
That makes sense.
So I appreciate what you're talking about. But this is surely for the entertainment of just watching the debate space, and people put themselves in those situations, and it can be compelling, right? Like to just watch them fly. It's a sort of improvisation, right? That no one has any idea necessarily what's going to come out of their mouth or anybody else's mouth.
Mhm.
It's not scripted. And it can be very powerful for the same reason. Even, psychedelics totally aside, I'll tell you why I had that on the mind, by the way. But
Mhm.
you get to see what's inside of you, and you sometimes you don't see that until there's some action, right? If you're just in your own world and it's predictable and you're interacting with people that you have more of a routine around your interaction, like with family and that kind of thing, but you throw yourself into an arena and sometimes something comes up and out of you that have you ever noticed people are like have literally been surprised at themselves? They probably wouldn't reveal that in a debate space. Maybe that's not a very good question. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Have you ever been shocked what came up and out of you?
in terms of in conversation,
Like in the debate space, in online when things.
sometimes I'm surprised at my level of patience. Like it's funny that it's patience because that's the one thing I always felt I lacked in. And that's something that probably over the last 5 years I've been trying to work on being more patient with people again and again and again. And I don't feel like I have that ability. But then I keep hearing it all the time, like, Sarah, you have the patience of an angel, you know. But I think because I'm always working on it, right? And so I'm actively pursuing to give a level of patience that I need. And sometimes I do surprise myself with my ability to, because some people hear things that people say on my screen or to me or whatever, and they're like, how are you just chill when they say stuff like that to you? And it's like, well, I don't like, what do I care? It's just some dude on a screen. They're not hurting me. They're not here with my children. They don't sit at my dinner table. But I think that I still surprise myself in having that attitude towards it. And
Mhm.
even being able to grant myself the ability to woo-saw internally and not react. Because I'm a very reactive person. Like, I think my temper has been probably one of the things my parents would say, like, "Oh, like, don't piss off Sarah. Her temper, like, careful, she'll go mad ape shit." But you don't see a lot of that here on the screen. A lot of people probably wouldn't even think I have a temper at all, but
Except Raging Tomato.
except the raging tomato. And that's not even why I got my name.
No, okay, I want to go into that, but let's talk patience for a few more minutes here about the one thing I learned about patience is don't pray for it. You know why?
Because that makes you more impatient.
Because it'll bring in circumstances where you're going to need patience.
Oh.
Same thing with don't pray for strength because you're going to attract situations where you need to come up with strength you think you don't have and you'll
Mhm.
show it to yourself. Because ultimately we don't lack patience, we don't lack strength. We just don't see
We
it.
haven't
We're
been
not
tested.
accessing it.
We haven't
We,
been
and
tested.
haven't right. Yeah, yeah. So unless you want to
Uh,
be tested.
yeah, I mean, I always just looked at there's a lady that lives in my neighborhood who I was fairly good friends with. And I just always looked at her and I thought, like, wow, she's so patient with everyone. She's so kind, she's so pleasant. And I always wanted to mimic that because it's like, man, I aspire to be that piece of you. Um, Praying for it, I would say, like, yeah, it used to be the thing that I would ask God for, like, please just teach me how to be more patient. And I guess you're right. Like, he did put me in a whirlwind where it's like, all right, you asked for it. Here you go. Figure it out. But I
Yeah,
never
it's the
I
best
never thought I
workout.
was. Mhm.
Right. Yeah, it's the best workout that you're doing.
Mhm.
I'm also reminded of Garrett Smith that I talked about a little bit on our channel. And so he sees people on a regular basis about their health. He's a naturopathic doctor, and I'm part of what's called office hours behind the scenes. Once you're a client, then you can go to these meetings. So we get to see him helping other people because it's in a group. And his patience is off the charts compared to his public persona. You might guess that he's not patient and he's kind of, just going to like block or delete you if you ask or say the wrong thing. But once you're in his world and you're working with them, then he will go to the end of the earth to be patient with you. You might have asked the same question 100 times. You might have like tried to get his okay on something for the 100th time, and he keeps an even tone. He never like, oh, this again or anything. And I'm the one in the back end going like, could she just be quiet already? Just stop it. Yeah,
Aw.
yeah. So I have a lot of admiration for that quality, and it is a virtue for a reason, right? Like
Yes.
this is the opposite of the bridge burner kind of a way of being in the world, and I also practice a lot of patience in my work because I work in a subject that is not an easy nut to crack by any means, and people
Mhm.
the tendency is to remember and forget and remember and forget and remember and forget. I'm doing a stream about that on Friday, by the way, in my Beth of Fresh Air, just before I forget to tell anyone about that. And yeah, so I see you as incredibly patient and kind, and you can always just regulate your tone of voice, even if some people are all ramped up, and then you're
Yeah.
even.
The vocal levels are very important, I've found.
Yeah,
Especially when everybody's very high level, yelling, whatever. The only I'm not gonna there's no way I can yell and be louder to get their attention. You actually have to lower and be like almost monoed into it in order for them to actually hear it. That's just a trick of the trade that most people don't recognize. But yeah, maintaining that like, okay, guys, we're going to blah, 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 blah. And then now their ears start picking up on this lower frequency and where everyone else is like, ah, it gets a lot crazy. Ooh.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I'll share a real quick story. I worked in Nepal as a school teacher in a village way the heck up. You couldn't even drive there. You had to walk up 5 hours to get to this little village. And then so I had a hard time getting any kids to listen to me. First of all, I spoke English and they spoke Nepalese.
Mhm.
And then I had a friend who was also a school teacher. She was as part of the same kind of culture exchange program, and she came into the room, and she could command them how whispering like
Yep.
this. Like, she would
Mhm.
speak very quiet, and all of a sudden everybody would just shut up, and they'd lean in, and they'd want to hear. And I'm like, oh, so yeah, the fascinating technique that
Yep.
you have to get lower to be heard.
Yeah, and that's just I mean, that's just a level of understanding how people respond to different levels of talking. And my role is I shouldn't have to yell to make you hear me. Sometimes you have to do it because they're just being crazy, but most of the time, like, I'm not gonna fry my vocal cords just because you're an idiot. Like,
Yeah,
we're gonna monotone it, and well, you're gonna they'll eventually pick up on it and realize like, oh, I should stop because there's something triggering my ear that I notice. It's kids actually are very responsive to that. I've seen teachers do
totally.
this where it's the class could be incredibly crazy, but you just start talking just high enough, but still very consistent, and their ears start picking up and say, "Well, something's different," and they look for it. But yeah, it's impressive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, indeed. And then just to fill in the blank, the reason I was talking about the psychedelics is I keep coming across, if you haven't heard of Joel Schaefer, he's a guy in the shamanic spaces of all kinds, and that's something I went through a little bit in my world. Also, I studied about shamanism in university. I did a honors, what do they call it, directed study in that, and just yeah. So he's in that world. I wouldn't talk to anybody in the shamanic world, but I'm pretty happy he's going to have me on, and he's going to be on the channel probably in the next month. So that'll be fun.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I find like plants. People talk about plant medicine, plant spirits. There's a certain relationship that humans have with plants, and
Mhm.
there's something just I don't know comes up.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think we need to be more in sync with our ground, our plants, the trees, the nature around us. I think we need to sync back in with it. We've gotten so out of sync, and I think that's why people are crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, it can help a lot. I did that this morning when oh, it's sunny today and there's no chemtrails. Amazingly enough, I shouldn't say that out loud, but I got myself into a natural environment and I talked to the geese. they're making their way out of Canada. I don't know exactly where you're located, but we're in the north, let's say, here
Mhm.
in Canada, and a good, could be half of our time is more like winter, and the geese, the ice finally, made a thin layer, not a good layer of ice like it will be. So the geese are sitting on there, but the sun's beating down on it, and the goose fell through the ice. So it was all ice. Yeah, it was all ice around them, and then they're like trying to claw their way out. I
Oh,
just
that's
wanted to
so
extend the
cute.
stick or go in there and grab them or something, but they managed to break through. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
That's
nice.
adorable. I would actually probably pay to watch that.
It's a good show. We get the Canada geese for about, I don't know, they'll come back in the spring, maybe April, and stay around until the snow flies a little bit after. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like that they called them Canada geese. I was in New Orleans and I saw Canada geese. That was pretty fun. I had to fly all the way south to find those guys. And whereabouts in the world are you? You don't have to say
I'm in
specifically.
I'm in Maryland actually. So
Okay, in
when you
the
guys had
east.
those big fires, we were actually getting all the smoke. We had
Ah,
a really weird fog, and I mean, God, there's a lot of states in between us. Um, but we had this whole, it was for like a week straight of this just dense air and kind of like a foggy, misty, smoky uh, atmosphere around for, gosh, it was forever when you guys had that fire. It was, pardon me, it was very, I couldn't imagine how much more worse it would be if I was in Canada having to see it. But if that's what we were getting here, I was like, goodness gracious, this is ridiculous. So,
yeah, it ate up a lot of our summer. We had to there's typically fires, but not at that time of year. We had them starting in the spring, and
mhm.
then it ruined the whole summer. And yeah, it was madness. I believe that's totally engineered. Personally, that was
Really
never the case. Yeah, yeah, between chemtrails and just fire starters.
makes sense.
So yeah, I haven't. Maryland is the east coast of the U.S. Is that right? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. You're in Eastern time. I haven't ventured over in that direction at all. And so I was going to ask you, what are your favorite subjects that people come and debate on your channel, just from your own perspective?
I hate politics.
Hmm.
as much as as much as we host, politics doesn't always get me. I'm always like, not again. And it's
Why do you
usually
hate
the
them?
Because it's usually just the same old surface level talking points again and again and again and again. You're never going to hear anything different. It's always going to be the same. Well, your side did this. Well, your side did that. Well, we want to do this. Well, we want to do that, and it's never changing, right? It's just repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. But um, uh, other questions like topics that are offbeat from the normal, you know, left versus right, feminism bad, um, uh, I don't know, like the basic standard approach surface level prompts. But when you deep dive into something more detailed and specific, like morality, application of law, things like that, like the Monday night debate, I loved that. I was so in tuned. I was so like, oh, this is so good because they were diving into morality and the application thereof.
Mm.
And I love that stuff. But when
Was that on
when
the
we
subject that rhymes with corn?
no,
Oh, that's different. Okay.
Monday was uh the American morality prop or American moral proposition. And it was it was beautiful.
I'll have to
And we
catch up.
had three lawyers on the screen actually, so it made it great. It made it very good for the conversation because they should all be very well versed in morality and the principles of philosophy. Um, but but yeah, I love the topics that pinpoint and narrow down into a deeper space versus just the surface level is thing bad.
Mhm.
Um, so it can vary. There's some that are fun, like we did a is casual sex good for society conversation.
Yeah, I
That
caught
was
that.
fun. And that was really
Mhm,
fun, the conversation. And
mhm.
the people bring the heat, so they make it enjoyable. But outside of that, I'm pretty content. If it's just regular politics, I'm like, "Meh." but anything else is fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
And are there subjects that you're actively putting out that you're kind of driving the topic on with the
No.
mission?
Usually it's a bring your own topic kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I'll have one person put forth a prompt, and from that I build the panel around them. And the fun part is knowing who's going to connect better, who's going to like bring heat, who's going to be a little quieter. That's where the real fun is. But everybody brings one. You just have to give me one topic that you really really want to do, and I will piece the rest of it together to make it work for you.
Hmm. That's cool. Good to know.
Mhm.
So you take suggestions if I come up with some.
Oh yeah, if people do suggestions, but most of the time it's the person who wants to debate it.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. Rather than
yeah,
going out and does anybody want to
right.
talk on this? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now I used to do it originally the other way where I would come up with a topic and then I'd have to find 4 people to put together for Mod Monday. And I would try to spare it out to where I know one person's really heavy leaning this way and then their teammate would be kind of that way. And then this I would do the same for the other side. So you get 4 completely different opinions on the screen and then they all end up just arguing. But then later on, I formatted and structured a little more differently to where one person gives me the topic. Will find their partner, or they can bring their own partner, and then I find them the opposition that works. And that seems to work more structured and more formality wise. But that one person really gets to duke out a topic they feel very strongly on. And so it works.
I'm trying to remember the one that I was on. It seemed like there was only one guy who held his position, and everybody else was on the different side. What was it? It was about does the deep state exist? And that
Oh, oh my God, poor Vibe, because he
yeah,
felt
yeah,
so strongly that he's like, no, it's not that crazy. And everyone else was, I think you were on that one, right?
yeah.
Everyone else was just like, yes, it is. And goodness. And that's hard. That's hard to sometimes when you're kind of outnumbered, to even be able to register the idea of like, okay, I'm about to take on a whole bunch of people who feel very strongly, and there's a lot of damning evidence against him, right? So it could be tough. I get it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that was good. You were giving him airtime, like, okay, guys, you got to let him speak. He's the only
Yeah,
one on that position.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If you're not outnumbered like that, I think that's only right and fair.
Hmm. Hmm.
So.
And what do you notice in terms of people being? I have no idea if you do this, but like there must be in your head some kind of a rating system going on. Like this person is good in debate. This person is, tends to be better behaved. This person can not talk when other people are
Mhm.
talking. This is something like Streamer
Yes.
is not set up for multi voices. So people need
No.
to know that when more than one person talks at a time, you can't hear anything.
Nothing.
Like zero.
It neutralizes everyone. Yeah, no, I have what like almost like playing cards, like baseball cards, but for debaters. I have an entire information sheet. I mean, most people I just know. All right, I just know how they are, how they operate, what they would work good with, what kind of topics would engage them, what things get them pissed off, what things keep them chill. And just knowing who to pair up with who on that. Usually I start with the topic level, right? Who would want to debate this topic, but then I maneuver into who is best fit for this topic.
Hmm.
And that usually now when people pick their own partners from there, I can't move, right? I'm
Hmm.
obviously like nothing I can do with that one. Or if it's a 1v1 and they pick them, like 2 people come to me and say, hey, we want to debate with this topic. There's nothing I could do about that except just host it. So if I know they're if maybe they're both a little on the drier side, I know it's not going to be heated and crazy. That's okay, but they want to do it, so I'm giving them the space either way. But there are some people I will absolutely say, "No, I'm not putting those 2 people on screen together because they're crazy." Like, they're both just completely off the charts, and neither of them will step down, right? So,
Hmm.
I think that's the most important piece is balancing a panel and knowing who to pair up with who works best with who, and, who's gonna be the mic hog and who's gonna be quiet, and you just have to know how that operates.
And what about emotions? Because do you find that when people are more emotional, they're less good at debating, or is it the other way around, or is there any
I
phenomenon?
think that could depend. I think that I absolutely can depend on, because we have people that we would perceive as getting incredibly emotional, but they're just being really entertaining.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that can go a couple different ways. There are there are some ladies in the space that get a little more on the like they're that lump in their throat kind of conversation, and they're doing, I've seen that, but I
mhm,
I think it just depends. If you're passionate, that's an emotion,
mhm,
but that doesn't it I don't think that that necessarily always negates your ability to debate or how well you're going to do. I think sometimes it can get in your way if you forget, like, if you gotta reel yourself back in, but I think overall the passionate piece is good.
mhm. Yeah, some fire and some life, and then it's a fun line. Personally, again, because Ben is my friend and I've met him in person, stuff like that. It was really funny. What was I can't remember exactly who it was, but so Ben was talking, but so when Ben is making a point, sometimes it'll sound like he's angry. But
Yeah.
because I'll read vibe under things, I know that I'm literally never bothered when Ben is, doing his angry voice. And then it was a one woman, was it Kel or someone like that, just kept saying like, lower your voice, lower your voice, lower your voice. And it's like yeah, kind of interesting. Now, typically emotions are like a drunken situation, right? The more emotion that you're running, the less clarity you have. That's
Mhm.
what, let's say, women get criticized for this, that we will approach every situation emotionally rather than logically and with the facts,
Mhm.
right? And we'll go with our intuition, and if we love something and we're just going to do it, and men can just sort through, okay, what's the reality of the situation, let's take some, so and then that's leading to the question around men versus women on the debates. It sounds like you're wanting more women to debate because typically men are showing up more so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a scarcity of women, and they're all making their way back now, so I'm excited. But a lot of them get intimidated by the panel. They feel uncomfortable, or there's just it's a sausage fest. I'm typically used to being the only female on screen, and but I have very thick skin, so all of their like, to me, I just look at it, these are people on a little box, right? I can just shut it down and walk away, and they disappear, right? They don't matter to me anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but women can not a lot of women want to engage and combat men. I don't blame them. It can be very dismantling. It can be very uncomfortable. It can go in a lot of different directions. And usually we are just um, degraded down to, well, you're just emotional, you're a woman, you don't have any logic, or you're just a feminist, or you're just a this. And it's like, it's completely away from my point. That's not even what I'm talking about. Anything you say is automatically negated. It doesn't matter because you're a woman, right? And I accept that that's par for the course, but not all women are willing to accept that that's par for the course, and they don't it kind of comes down to, why waste my time? They're just going to call me a hoe. They're going to call me a feminist. They're going to call me a this. They're going to say being emotional. They're going to say I'm doing that. And it's an easy target. It's so easy for them to say that. And you have to work 20 times harder just to remove their ability to even get to those points to say that to you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the hardest part. So, yeah.
Do you see any women only debates in the future?
Oh yeah, we've had some. They're my favorites because women typically draw more eyeballs to the screen, anyways.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, if we can continue drawing in more women, I want more women on the screen. Come show me. And I even offer. And they're all very very aware of this, that I offer some preferential treatment. And I don't think it's not fair. I think it's very fair. I offer some preferential treatment to ladies, allowing a little more space and a little more grace in the conversation, because they're outnumbered by very loud male voices, and it will tune out the females very quickly. And so I give them that little extra space just to kind of balance the chart. Now, doesn't mean every woman can just come in and bulldoze the show, but it simply means let the ladies speak. Ladies first. Just be a gentleman and let her talk. You know.
Mhm,
So.
mhm. Yeah, you did that for me. I doubt I would have said anything on that debate when I came on, but you open the space, and it's like, "Oh, okay, I can speak where there's space," and
Hmm.
less likely to interrupt people and try to, volume out them or point
Hmm.
point out them.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It gets a little. Women are already uncomfortable. They're already uncomfortable. They're already intimidated. There's already a bunch of men here that are ready to just, poke at them. Not all men. I'll say there are some very kind gentlemen in this space who I've engaged and interacted with, and I have a very large appreciation for them.
Mhm,
But most women, it's just like the panel looks intimidating. It looks
mhm.
scary. It's like, ooh, bunch of men yelling. Like, why do I want to go up there? So the more we can balance the charts out and get more ladies up, the better it's going to be, I think.
Nice. And women can be equally as mean and bullish and masculine and cutting
Hmm.
and uh, demasculating of others. So
Hmm.
that's
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. But the men, like the men can, they can still, the men can, they can take it. You'll be fine.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
If a woman yelling at you or berating you makes you emotional, and this is where men and women are different, right? And people are going to say, well, that's not fair. Why wouldn't you hold her to that? Because she's different than you. You're a big strong man. Okay. Ugh, man up. Right. And if a tiny little 5'2" lady yelling at you gets you upset, well, like, why are you in this space to begin with? She's not going to hurt you. She can't physically hurt you. She's tiny. She's this. She's that. Like, you'll be fine. But even at that, there's 9 men on a panel and 1 female. Come on, you'll be all right. Or even 2 females, you'll be all right. You got all your boys here. You're gonna attack her. You're gonna come in all your different angles. Like, if her coming at you bothers you, then you're letting it bother you. I don't think any man should be triggered by a woman poking at him. It's the
Right.
ultimate shit test, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. King Hero monitor, let's say, or measure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I'd like to engage the chat a little bit as we start to approach the last 10 minutes of the debate, or not debate. What am I saying here? That we're not debating yet. I considered for about a minute and a half, like, I wonder if I could host a debate or two. I might, in a particular arena where I had a vested interest. I want to
Mhm.
see people debate. Would probably do that, but not doing what you do. That's next level. I'm glad you do what you do, and I can just go in and enjoy. And yeah, Lisa said, what a refreshing point of view. It's really cool because yeah, that, I mean, that I think is an important discussion that men and women have. And I'm curious, like, what needs to be debated when you think about what the state of our world right now, and what could we potentially have influence over? What could we have greater awareness and education about, that debates could in fact bring to the table, not just for the audience, but for those debating? What are those subjects that need to be clarified through the debate, or purified?
I wouldn't even say what needs to be debated. We debate on a daily basis. When we have discussions with friends, family, whoever, and we disagree, we find disagreement. I think what really needs to happen is people need to learn the art of debating and communicating themselves clearly, and knowing when they're going into emotion, know when they're like all of the fallacies that are on the board for what can happen in a debate. You need to know when somebody's uh, arguing you down the wrong direction. You need to know when somebody's trying to do this, somebody's trying to do it's not necessarily what we need to debate, it's we need to debate better. We need to be able to communicate better. We need to be able to make sure we're being logical in what we're giving to other people, in our arguments, in our baselines, in our foundations. Are we grounding ourselves first before we're speaking that language outward? That's what needs to happen. Because if we did that more, our conversations would get better. Our society would get better because we'd learn how to sit and run a dilemma through our head and say, is this good? Is this bad? Does this help? Is this harmful? And we can run that narrative in our head on our own and logically tease out what's good, what's bad, what's an emotion, what's because somebody told me to do it, what's because of this, because of that, why am I doing this? If we did that, everything, society would solve itself.
Nice. Great answer. I love that. And have you noticed an evolution in that direction? Are people becoming better debaters over the course of time? How long again since you started this?
Oh gosh, has it been almost 2 years?
Mhm. So
Maybe.
pretty new still.
I don't know, you run 4 debates a week, you don't feel new anymore.
Not that you're new
Um,
to it, but just,
yeah,
the evolution of
the evolution,
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen people come on, people start the, that's another thing about my platform. You don't have to be an expert. I welcome all of the newbies, the amateurs, the people who don't know how. Now you have to earn your spot to getting put on an actual panel, like an exclusive panel or a 1v1. But um, you don't have to be the best. You can come on and start learning. You can come on and watch others and figure it out along the way. And I have seen a lot of people grow. I've seen a lot of people expand their own channels because of what they've done here. I've seen a lot of people network with each other and grow from there on maybe not necessarily a debate, but on a topic specifically, and they've like opened their mind up to other opinions or furthered the discussion. I've seen personally people uh, uplift themselves, by utilizing the debate space or the open panels and so on and so forth. And that's where I get like excited watching people maneuver out into different directions and expand and grow upon that. So yes,
That's
the
beautiful.
answer is yes.
Yeah, how nice. That's one of my all-time favorite things is watching people grow.
Hmm.
Nothing tops that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's amazing. And I think we talked about when you interviewed me, just you're a natural born connector, you're a networker, you take pride in that. Do you want to talk about that role in your life?
Yeah, it's vital to me. That's probably my most favorite thing to do is, and again, that comes out with the growth piece behind it. I like to plant the seeds or at least allow the space for the seeds to drop. And then I get to sit back and watch all of those seeds sprout into, big, beautiful vines and then eventually turn into flowers. And so watching them bloom by the end of it all, whether it's a week later or 3 years later, is beauty to me. But I like being the guy that knows the guy that knows the guy that knows the guy. I like being at the center of the spider web and everyone else corralling outward. I consider myself to be the main hub. I consider myself to be the center of the connections between communities. That's something I kind of tapped into earlier. Like there's so many different communities that even when I'll say, "Oh, yeah, I'm interviewing with Beth today," and they're like, "Well, who's Beth?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, she comes over from this community," and they're like, "Oh, I've never tapped into that community." Well, here, go check it out. Here's what they do, right? Hold on just a sec. Hold on just a second. I've got a
Sure.
kid.
No worries.
Kid.
Whoops. Yeah, she went off camera for a second there. There you go. You see Dusty's throwing shade in your chat at Sarah. Yeah, I can't see that chat. I don't think on her or her dual stream. And you're taking care of business over there. That's great. Fantastic. Yeah, so the last thing I'm going to ask Sarah is about the name Raging Tomato, where that comes from, because you can't just overlook that. I had some fun with her image and working that into a thumbnail. Coming up, I'll just say before um, we get to the last question, I'll just say coming up Friday is my regularly scheduled Beth of Fresh Air podcast. I'm going to do this on memory and remembering and forgetting. I love picking just one tiny little morsel of a subject and then watching how it blooms and mushrooms out and becomes quite a meaningful discussion. So I do depend on people coming for that, because the chat is a really good way to bounce ideas around and have something to play off. That's why I do my shows live. It's way more fun. It's way more engaged. I'd rather know that there's living, breathing people out there. So thanks to everyone who is chiming in the chat today. And yeah, Friday I'll be going live at 2 p.m. Central Time, Central Standard Time. And so Sarah's ready again. Awesome. Hey, Sarah.
That's the only bad thing about working from home is like when you're at work, the kids don't recognize you're at work. Don't you can't just barge in a door when I'm working.
How old are your children again?
My daughter's 16. She knew what was up. She already knew. She
Yeah.
hears my voice downstairs. She already knows like what I'm doing. But my 10-year-old son, he just like opens the door and just doesn't understand. Like everyone can hear you talking.
Mhm.
Don't do that.
Right.
So he's
Right.
still trying to understand like where that line is. The door's shut. You don't come downstairs. So yeah.
Right.
But
Right.
he just
Yeah.
got home from school, so that's why he's like, "What are you doing?" We're like, what are you doing?"
That's nice. All right. Well, I'll be letting you go pretty soon. Do you want to talk about what Raging Tomato means? Where did that name come from?
It's from the Hormaxer. That is a person, a character. That is another content creator. If you know him, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know him, you don't want to know him. But when I first originally got started in this space, I think this was 2021. I originally started just by jumping on Playing with Fire. It's another channel. Alex, he hosted speed dates and he needed girls to come on. And I thought, oh, that sounds fun. So I went on and I was a girl that did the speed dates. So the guys come on and they talk to you for 5 minutes, and then Alex provides feedback on how good or how bad you did during that conversation and gives them pointers and such. Well, the Hormaxer is a character who jumped on, and his first initial question to me, which is why I say if you don't know him, you don't want to know him. But he said, yeah, what would you think about us going to a sex club for our first date? And I'm like, what? Like, does this work? Is this a thing? Like, what are you doing? And he's a total pervert. He's addicted to the idea of going to sex clubs. He's addicted to pornography, and all of everything that goes along with those lines. Well, he didn't like the fact that I was very rejecting of our first speed date. So then the next time I interacted with him on a panel, he got really hostile and he was mad at me and yada yada yada. And he's like, you look like a tomato. You look like a raging tomato. Your face is all red. You look like a tomato. And I was like, the raging tomato. And so the chat kind of rolls with it, and they start trolling me, like making fun of me, calling me a raging tomato as if it was an insult. And I was like, no, I like it.
That's
Now I'm the
fun.
raging tomato, named by the one and only Hormaxer.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked, because I could just go on using that name and never really have an understanding. So that's very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Most people think like, "Oh, when is she supposed to like?" Then they ask that in my chat sometimes. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm new here. When is she supposed to be raging? Like, does she get angry?" And then like that's not the point. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was not temperamental. It was just because my face gets red, and he said I look like a raging tomato.
There you go. You're very good at your branding. I really enjoy it.
Thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. I
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
I try.
I mean, I'm a business coach and I help people do some of that stuff, but I'm lousy at it for myself. There's something, I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like you can never nickname yourself, right? Your people have to nickname you. So, but my favorite thing is to troll the trolls. So when people try to troll me with derogatory comments, like right now I'm receiving the aging potato now. Um, I'll roll with it. Like that's the thing. You can insult me all day long. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna run with it, and I'll make money off of it. So go ahead. Have at it, insult me, I will turn it into money, and I love money, so it works.
There you go. There you go. And you have an entrepreneurial spirit around your work. And I don't know if that's, if you ever had any intention to be in that line of work, could you even have imagined it growing up?
No.
Did you? No?
Well, no, I mean, and let me take that back. Like, I grew up on stage. I was a little ballerina,
Okay.
between ballet, tap, jazz, modern hip hop, swing, whatever, any type of dance, you name it, I did it, and that's what I was into. I started dancing by at age, what, 5? And it grew to the point by the time I was in high school, I was I had an apprenticeship at a studio. So I was teaching the younger classes. I was even teaching all the way up to grown adults. Um, but the stage was what I loved the most. My mom would even say that's the only place you're not clumsy is the minute you get on stage, that's when you suddenly you know where everything's at and you find all of your grace. But outside the stage, I'm just a clumsy knox. I trip, I fall, I spill everything, and then I'm a hot mess. But then, I mean, I always loved the stage. I'll say it this way. I'm incredibly shy. Most people don't think that, but I am incredibly shy. I don't like to speak up. I don't like to be center of attention. I don't like to be the limelight. But if it's something I'm good at, get out of my way. That is my center stage move. So it kind of, I think it has its working points. So during the debates, it works because I'm okay with shutting up. I don't have to be the limelight in that. You're the debater. You're supposed to be the expert on what you're doing. So I'm going to sit back and let you talk. But when it is something where it's my turn to shine, I'm going to take that light and I'm going to have it all eyes on me. So I think it has a healthy mix there, and I think it works. And I think that's what makes the show do what it does. Could I have ever seen myself doing this? No. Even when I first entered YouTube and being just a panelist, I was like, nah, I never would want to run my own show because that's like, what would I even do? You know, like, I don't care about all of this stuff. I enjoy having fun and talking to other people, but what do I care? And then it just evolved the way it did, and now here we are. Now I'm
There
the
you go.
raging tomato.
And 10th Man 36 says you are I'm assuming, his favorite
Mm,
female streamer. So
yep.
that's really nice. Yeah,
Mm. Hi,
very cool.
10.
And he says he might be controlled opposition. Please not share.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, could be. And sometimes they don't know. Like it's not necessarily that they're self-aware, and there's not a lot of ways to actually know that. So if anyone's really interested in archetypes of or in the controlled opposition, I did a deep dive and I created the 8 archetypes of controlled opposition because I was seeing all the characters in the show and I was sick of researching and being down the rabbit hole of individuals. I just wanted people to see the patterns of how it shows up, be able to recognize it, and not waste their time in those arenas and supporting those guys and sending them money and all of that
Right.
kind of thing.
You
So
know what I would be interested in is if you were ever to review a debate or open panel and be able to sit and pinpoint the patterns of the archetypes and like grab at them and see what they are and what even, even if you were taking an estimated guess in the first 10, 20 minutes of who's going to be what, that would capture my attention, to see how quickly you can pinpoint them.
that'd be a lot of fun. I would like that. Yeah, there's always archetypal information. There was one guy who came in the House of Free Will newly, and he said, "Oh, where do I do the quiz?" And I said, "Well, if I had to guess," he was asking like what archetype. I guess he was asking me. I said, "If I had to guess, it's the alchemist," and it's exactly what he turned into, which is actually a very rare response in my world. And it's not magic, and it's not even like a leap of intuition. Is that there's one glaring shadow that he had, and they're so specific. So if you find the shadows, you often can easily find the archetype. If you find the gifts, they can blur across
Mhm.
archetypes and not be that specific. But yeah, I'd be game for something like that. If you ever created it, I'd be happy to
Yeah.
have that kind of role and have some fun with that. Yeah, women reviewing debates in general would be really fun. You get the men in the arena and then the women reviewing. That sounds like a pretty decent balance.
We'll just be the mean women at that point. That's how it would be responded to.
It could be. Yeah. Again, it could be done in a mean way, just out of pride and judgment and all that kind of thing. But it can also be done in a way that's very clean. Just, it's just seeing
Yeah.
what is. And that's
Hmm.
to me what we need from each other is to mirror, right? We don't see ourselves that easily just when we're on our own, but when we have relationships and connections, then that's when we get more reflection back. Because I think I'm perfect until I try to, be in a relationship with someone.
I would even go as far as saying, seeing what reflects back to you based on who the person is and how they engage and interact with you. To me, that's more telling of who you are as a person versus who they are, right?
Right.
So if somebody interacts and engages with you in such a mean way, and then you respond a very particular way, like I like to see how I reflect off of people. I like to see what gets brought out because then
Mhm.
that tells me with that personality, this is what you're bringing out of me. Why?
Mhm.
Do I feel threatened? Do I feel defensive? Do I feel combative? Do I feel shy? Do I feel sheepish? Do I feel quiet? Do I feel feminine? Do I feel vulnerable? Why is it you that is bringing that out of me? And that to me is more vital information than just how I'm responding.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's the mix or the marriage, the melding of the energies, and that's where there's a lot of information, a lot of data can
Mhm.
be good data can be harvested from that. So yeah, I like that too. That's why I like to. I've been watching again Joel Schaefer, and multiple people have interviewed him recently. It's very different interview from one to the next, and people have told me that about my interviews that they often, even if somebody has been interviewed multiple times already, that somehow mine are special. So I really appreciate that they like that.
Aw, well,
And you
maybe
brought
because you're
mhm.
special.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And you brought the best out in me in our interview. I honestly didn't know how that was going to go, but it was super fun, and you were getting it. Not everybody gets it. It's pretty deep and esoteric and way out there, but you were grooving, so that was
Yeah,
really
I think
good.
my mom even said, like, it made sense why I was so captured by what you were saying. I think we're both kind of in the same realm of what we enjoy diving into, and it's people,
People in
and
the
the
people.
personality, people in the people, and so it makes sense why that works.
Right. And then just the 10th man 36 says Sarah gets me, and I believe there are reptilians.
And
There you go.
that's a goofball.
So funny. Yeah. Lack of social skills from the red pill crowd can be true.
Says Duck. Says Duck, who can't even sit on a panel without randomly spurging.
There you go. That's a gift right there. Spurging. You
Yeah.
have to where spurging would be on the archetype scale. I'll give that some thought.
Child.
Yeah, this child are definitely spurgers. The rebel could spurg out, right? They get lost in kind of well, actually, the lover could spurg out because they get lost in fiery emotions.
Mhm.
They get
That
stuck in
makes
those.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. A king could spurg out because they're tyrannical ruler.
Or if your people aren't following, right? If they decide to rebel against you, it would be like, "But I've done all of this work for you."
Hmm. Yeah, if there's a mutiny, exactly one of the king's biggest fears, mutiny. Yeah. Well, Sarah, this has been a wonderful conversation. I totally enjoyed it. I do recommend for anybody that it hasn't been over to her debate channel that you do that. And I'm going to share a few more links. I already shared these earlier, but bring them up in the chat. And so I do recommend going to sub to that channel, and that will lead you to the other channels. You also have a Patreon. Is there any other way that people can support your work, Sarah?
If they follow on X, Insta, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, it's all there. It's all there. You'll find it. You'll find it all. Spotify for us Spotify listeners. I know some people prefer that method. I do as well because you don't like YouTube gets weird with if you want to close out your phone or do other things, but Spotify just plays right through. So
Yeah,
I
that's nice.
do, yeah, I do post upload onto Spotify, and so those are all on there as well. But yeah.
Fantastic. All right, my dear. Well, is there anything else you want to share with us before we close out for?
Uh, No, I think I'm good.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure.
Mhm.
Just to let everybody know, I am going to be live again on Friday, like I said, with the Beth of Fresh Air. That's not just complimenting myself. I do get messages from people saying that my podcast is a breath of fresh air. So that's how I came up with the name for that show, which is pretty fun. I literally people tell me that more than a few times. And then Monday coming up, Christine Massey. She was the one that blew a lot of holes in the whole boogeyman virus theory that existed. She couldn't get anyone to admit that it actually exists. And I
Mhm.
believe I bet there was 300 Freedom of Information requests that she made in
Wow.
official ways, and there was not a single peep of them admitting this virus exists in the way that they needed to. So so that's coming up next week, and you can stay tuned. Join me at bethmartins.com if you would like to do an archetype quiz. There is a direct link to the quiz. I see a few people already did it while we've been on the stream here. It takes just 10 minutes to find out where on the path of purpose you are. So to me, if people live with purpose, that makes us uncontrollable. And then this is how the world can turn around. So once again, thank you, Sarah. It's been absolutely a pleasure. Quick shout out to my son who does the intro and the outro music. He's playing these instruments. I'm very proud mama of
Aw.
a 19-year-old that is a really good player. Now he's got a full-time job and a girlfriend, so I think he's playing his guitar a little less, but nonetheless, I always credit him regardless.
That's so cool, though. It's a family affair. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, everybody, have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks, everyone, for coming in the chat. And thank you, Sarah. Lots of love to you.
Mhm.
See
Yeah,
you on your channel again.
absolutely.
As
Thank
I said.
you.
Yeah. All right. Bye for now. All right. So that's not it. Just a second. I got 2 shows and I've got multiple personality disorder going on. Here's the outro. This is my son. That was me, by the way.